lovelies, it's Catherine from Jane Catherine on Books, and this is my August Thriller-A-Thon wrap-up. So this was created by Harriet Rosie, and I'll leave her channel down below, and there were 5 challenges for this. So without further ado, let's look at what I read for these challenges. So the first one, the longest book from your TBR. Now, what I decided to do here is I cheated a little bit and I called it TBRR, so the longest book on my to be reread. To be reread, because I just fancied rereading this little book, Wrong Time, Wrong Place by Simon Kernick. And this is one of these lovely quick reads, and actually for 90 odd pages it didn't half pack a punch. I always think it's very clever in a thriller if they can get the suspense going, keep the suspense going, and to give a great big twist that, oh, that's really good, I didn't expect that. So yeah, I think that's very clever to be able to do that in 90 odd pages. And I've been wanting to reread it for ages. It's been on my shelves, I don't know when I last read it, and I've had it a long time, and it's sort of in my to reread pile. So I'm not going to say too much about this. We've got a group of friends hiking in the Scottish Highlands. They come across a poor girl that's been badly beaten. She's practically naked, she can't speak English, and obviously there's something untoward going on in those woods. And yeah, not saying anything more about that because you've just got to read it for yourself. It would give you too many spoilers to discuss that further. But yeah, Wrong Time, Wrong Place, Simon Kernick. So the next one, revisit an author or a book that you'd like to read something else from theirs. And for this, now this isn't the book itself, this is one I read some while ago, Richardson's First Case by Basil Tomson, an Inspector Richardson mystery. And Cheryl from CR Flames Fan and myself read book 1, and we've been meaning to then continue with the series. So we managed to get hold of book 2, which is Richardson Scores Again, and this is where my TBR changed a little bit from when I did the TBR filming for this readathon, because we wanted to get to this straight away. We were excited to do a buddy read and go back to see what our Richardson's up to. So this second case where he scores again, Richardson has been promoted. In the first book he was part of the normal constabulary, shall we say. He wasn't in the detective division here in the UK. I mean, it's going back to, was it in the 1920s? I'm trying to think. 1930s. And so we've got an old-fashioned police crime. It's not a cosy mystery, not cosy crime really. It's a police procedural, but very, very interesting because, and especially as we get to the book 2, you start to learn quite a lot about how they first developed forensics back in the day. In the 1930s there was very little that they could do forensically, and Richardson had got this interest in developing and moving forensics along. Now Basil Tomson, the author, used to actually be in this field. He was involved in some of the you know, the early days of fingerprinting, etc. So it's very interesting to find out all about the new methods of then, fingerprints, and taking casts of footprints so they can catch their person. Now what's in Richardson Scores Again, there's always a murder, and somebody's being framed for this murder in certain respects, you could say. And it's really Richardson wants to be proving who the real culprit is. He wants to be showing that the new forensic tests are the way forward to catching your man, as it were, or your woman. And you know, he's a bit of a high flyer, and he's actually made up to Detective Sergeant in the second case because they're so pleased with him. So we've got a really good plot. I don't think we get much character development really. The Richardson cases are very much heavy in police procedural, so if you're not keen on those, then they're not for you. I'd like to see, as the series continues, that we get a bit more character development and a little bit more complex plot, shall we say. But I still thoroughly enjoyed it. I gave it 4 stars, and yes, that was great to be revisiting Basil Tomson, the author, again. So next challenge, best cover. So for this I chose No Fond Return of Love, Barbara Pym, and I just really like these old-fashioned covers. And this is a cosy crime. I've not read any of Barbara Pym's before. I got this in one of my recent hauls, and it's about Dulcie Mainwaring, and she's how can we say, she's a very helpful person. Perhaps sometimes she's a little bit interfering in other people's lives because she sort of helps people when they don't always want to be helped. And she goes on a conference and meets a girl there called Viola, and they become friends of sorts, really. Now, amongst all this, we've got somebody called Alwyn Forbes, Dr. Alwyn Forbes, and he was at this conference, and he was one of the keynote speakers at the conference. But this Viola is absolutely besotted with him. I think when she was at university, she did some training with him, like a bit of an internship with him, and so it's, in a way, the case revolves around the three of them. We can't quite say it's a menage a trois. No, I don't think we can really say that, because it's very cosy and it's very what shall we say, crime orientated, really. I have to say it's not that memorable. It won't stop me reading some more Barbara Pym, because, as you know, I do enjoy my cosies. But it was okay. I gave it 3 stars. It was an okay read. There is I'll have to show you this, because this was quite hilarious. You can see this purple poodle. Well, there's the neighbours. They've got this neighbour that's always coming round and interfering, and she's got purple rinse on her hair, and she's done the dog the same. So that was quite funny, really, made me chuckle. So yeah, let me know if you've read any Barbara Pyms, and if you found any of them that were got a bit more complexity to them, shall we say. It may well be that they're just good old cosies, nice to read, you know, when you feel in the mood for a light read. So, and the next challenge is what's been on your TBR the longest. Now, I was wanting to get through some of my NetGalley copies on my Kindle that I wanted to get through. I'm a little bit behind with all that, and so I chose something that was on my NetGalley TBR. Can you see with these, they're not set in stone, these readathons. You can twist them and use them quite flexibly, really, to fit in with what you're wanting to do with your own reading. So I got one called The Ruin by Dervla McTiernan, and I just want to get to my review here of this, because it's a while ago I read it, and this is going to be a new series. It's the Cormac Riley series, so we're book 1, and police procedural, also sort of very much a crime thriller, I would think. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to read you out my review that I did for NetGalley. I think that'll give you more of an idea, because to be quite honest, it was a while ago and I can't remember every little thing. So I put, this is a thoroughly enjoyable crime thriller. Let me just undo the plug, it'll be easier to move it. A thoroughly enjoyable crime thriller that features Cormac Riley, who recently relocated back to Galway, and that's in Scotland for anybody that's... yeah, it is Scotland. No, it's Ireland. I'm there trying to teach geography to people that aren't from the British Isles, and I'm thinking Galway, Scotland, and really it's in Ireland. Yeah, I think I better... Geography wasn't my best subject. Right, he was relocated back to Galway, which is in Ireland, where he started his police career. Someone who he had helped 20 years earlier is the centre of a current investigation. I found the writing style very easy to follow and fast-paced. The plot soon sucked me in, and it did. You know, you start reading it and you're thinking, oh, this is really exciting. What's going to be happening next? So it is compelling, and you quickly want to find out why the incidents of the past, as I've just said, are related to present day. The characters are well developed and interesting. So, you know, the incident that happened when he was a young policeman, when he was first doing his training, detective training, Cormac was involved in one of his memorable cases is something that perhaps how it was handled or what happened and the people that were involved very much is played on his mind over the years. And you know, often you think, oh, I wonder what happened to so-and-so, I wonder what happened to them that I worked with or whatever. And it soon becomes apparent that something's happening in present day involving one of the characters that really gets him thinking that it wasn't properly wrapped up, the case wasn't properly wrapped up, it probably hadn't been dealt with as well as it could have been by whatever social services or, you know, the places, not the places, but the authorities that were involved in this. And he decides that he thinks that further investigation is required, because it's one of those again where it's quite easy for people to think that someone's committed suicide, and you know, some of these murderers are, you know, quite good at making it look like people have committed suicide when in fact actually there's been a murder. So that should give you a little bit of a taste for what's going on here. It's a really good book. I mean, it's a debut. What I've put here is this is a compelling read for anyone who enjoys crime thrillers that are fast-paced. It is definitely gritting. It's got a satisfying ending for me, because one of the things I really don't like in my crime thrillers, or, you know, sort of contemporary thrillers as well, is if it's got a poor ending, or if everything's left up in the air. I really hate that. But this for me had a satisfying ending. It's quite gritty in places. And I put here, I'm really looking forward to more cases from Cormac Riley. So I gave it 4 stars, and I think we've got more to come from this author. So yeah, worth giving that a try. It actually came out, it's out already, it came out in August. So last but not least, we've got my most anticipated read, and for this I picked up I Know My Name, and this is by CJ Cooke. Now, only actually found this book yesterday in the works, 3 for a £5 deal, but I read this I got it on my Kindle, and then decided, because it was a read along, as you know, I don't read too many audiobooks, because I'd got, you know, 5 books to read in 6 days was it. I thought, well, you know what, I'll give this a go on audio book, and I'm glad I did. I think the narration, we've got 2, a male and a female narrator in this, and they did a very good job, and they set the tone, they set the atmosphere. Very complex book. Now, the ending is totally unexpected, unless you're somebody, and I'm not going to say anything about it. I'm going to do a separate wrap-up of this with spoilers in, so that, you know, I can discuss it further. It's really one of those thrillers that if I discuss, you know, the meat and bones of what all this is about, it will spoil the ending for you. So what I will tell you about this is I've just woken up. I'm completely alone. I don't know why I'm here. This is on the island of Kernick in Greece. A woman wakes up on the island without any recollection as to why or how she got there. And then, so that is where we have the female narrator. Then the male narrator, he takes over as her husband, and he's called Lachlan, and a toddler and 12-week-old baby have been left alone. Lachlan's wife has disappeared without trace. The neighbour, the elderly neighbour, phones him up and says, I'm in your house at the moment, I'm looking after your children, there's nowhere, your wife is nowhere to be found, and they're on their own, can you come? And it says, every clue the police turned up means someone has told a lie. Eloise Shelley is officially missing. So I shall tell you more about it. That's the bare bones of what this is about. Oh, you must go and buy this book. I can't believe, I mean, it came out last year, and 2017. I can't believe I've not come across this book before. I can't believe that it hasn't got a load of hype on BookTube. It just blows you away. It really blows you away, the ending. Loads of twists and turns. We're introduced to loads of characters on the island where Eloise finds herself, and wow, I really thought this was an amazing book. Fantastic on audio. Really brings it to life. So go out and get this book, guys. It's really good. But as I say, I'm going to do a separate wrap-up for this because it's so complex, and to discuss the complexities may give too many spoilers. So I will finish on that note. So I was really pleased with myself. I managed to complete all 5 challenges from the Thriller-A-Thon. And yeah, let me know if you've read any of those, or if you fancy reading any of those now. And I'll see you again next time. Bye for now.